Well, welcome to the Stone Roadie podcast. It's the one you don't want to miss. It stars Craig Reed, the Stone Roadie, and Griff, the rocket scientist. Let's not forget Kathy Godsey and all the old friends that come along. Lord, we'll be talking Skynyrd and leaving you with a song.
Podcast 83, action. All righty then, looky here, golly, it's podcast 83 of the Stoned Roadie Show, and this is your host, the Stoned Roadie Craig Reed, and this is my co-host, the rocket scientist, Griff Martin. You know, we have this, I got this green screen out back here, and last week I had the wrong P.O. box zip code down here. I had 44323, and it's I had 44323, and it's whatever I had, but it was wrong. It's post office box 44232. Now, I didn't ever think I would get that wrong because there's so many 442s in there, but I sure did it. You know, that's Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. But yeah, it's post office box 442. 4 barrels, what is it? That's 4 barrel. 4 on the floor, 4 barrel, and positive traction 442. Yeah, so it's P.O. Box 44232, Green, Ohio. Yeah, that's what it is. But that could be the reason why we didn't get any donations last week. Maybe they got lost in the mail, but I don't think so. Any reputable post office would. When you'd hit them with Green, Ohio, 44232, if you would hit them with anything else, they would say, well, that's not right. So, but I might be wrong on that aspect too. You never know. But we still got Angela Lynyrd, our top donator, at $500. And like we said last week, we're going to send that $500 to Paul Welshaw this week. We're going to do that this week. And then Anonymous Mary sending that $300, but like we said last week, she wanted $100 of that to go to Griff for his expenses and $100 for me for my expenses. We dang sure did that, granted her wish on that one. And then my old buddy Automotive, he put in $200 a couple weeks ago, and then Tony Mays last week put in $151. He said he gathered up his spare change laying around the house and got that together and put that toward the lost survivors fund. And then Joseph Mueller, he put in $101 there last week. And then my buddy Steve Etheridge from Murphy's Law Band here in the Akron, Canton, Ohio area. Actually, we're here in Green. Both of us still live around here in Green. But yeah, he donated $100 to me when I went to one of his shows the other night. And then Jerry Bertsey, he started this whole thing out here a couple weeks ago when he wanted to donate some money, and I told him that, you know, just go ahead, and we didn't really do that. We just did it through subscribers, and he just insisted he wanted to do it. So that's what prompted me to get this post office box together here and start taking some donations. And I really appreciate, I forget the fellow's name that gave me a heads up on this post office box. I had misdirector here last week, but I really appreciate that heads up, and I'm sorry I forgot your name. But anyways, we're going to move along from this donation stuff here and move right along to the skin information y'all want to know here on the Stoned Roadie Show. So what else we got going on there, Griff?
Well, I guess Craig and I we'll do a little bit of jibber jabber here in the beginning of our videos, a podcast that we have for you whenever we have an on the road with Griff Martin, and we do have another on the road for you following Craig and I here, where I went out to Bobby Sanders' house in Popka, Florida, and Bobby Sanders, he's a really good musician, singer. He's got like a country voice to him, a really deep country voice. He plays guitar really well, and he's going to be at the Rockin' for a Reason in Jacksonville. And the on the road with Griff Martin, we got to know Bobby Sanders a little bit better. For you guys that don't know who he is, whenever you come to the Rockin' for a Reason on the 29th, you'll see Bobby there, and he's going to have a lot of songs to play. What's cool about Bobby is he's got a lot of information from back in the day, a lot of skin information, because he knew Lynyrd Skynyrd, Coach Skynyrd, very well. He got Ronnie's last autograph in Altamont when Ronnie and the band was there, and they were promoting the I think they were promoting a lot of they were promoting Joe Crimp's band, and then also Lynyrd Skynyrd, and signing autographs. And there's actually a picture of Bobby Sanders getting his poster signed that Ronnie gave him, and that picture, I believe, made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So some pretty cool stuff with Bobby Sanders, and there's a kind of a special guest that was at Bobby's house that you're going to get to see, that we all know and love. So stay tuned for the on the road with Griff Martin with Bobby Sanders. And then thanks for all the donations and stuff. And, Craig and I have been kind of getting hammered about stuff. You'd think, trying to raise money and giving it to the survivors, that everybody would be on board with it. But there's always those few that like to start shit. Isn't that right, Craig? I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. You could go around and give out $100 bill. You could have a pile of hundreds and then just hand them out in the street, and somebody's going to bitch how you handed it to them. But people keep bringing up Judy Van Zandt and that she's trying to stop what we're doing. Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that I don't think she would do that. I really don't. If she did, it'd be pretty despicable. And so I'm going to go ahead and take up for her and say I don't think she's doing anything to stop the Rockin' for a Reason, or the event that we're having on the 20th in October, where Craig's coming down with a convoy and we're going to take him out to the crash site. Ronnie Van Zandt would love what Craig is doing right here on this podcast. So, I don't think Judy would be going against us, just in my opinion. Other people might disagree. But with that being said, Craig, do you want to kind of go back on some of the YouTube? Like I noticed there was a lot of cool comments on that 81 with Kathy's Saturday night special. We can go over some of the comments.
Yeah. This week we are going to send out. I am going to send out. I know I talked about it last week, but we were the YouTube stuff, the YouTube money, it's not adding up like I expected it would. When we were trying to read the analytics, but we have made about $500 on that. And then we, like I said, Angela, she gave us 500. Now that the 500 we sent Mark Howard a couple weeks ago, that actually came from Gary's funeral brochure, and then Angela is going to get the Paul Wells is going to get the 500 that Angela sent us, and then we're gonna take the money we got from YouTube and the other donations and send that to Mark Frank. He's going to get a check for $500 this week, and Paul Welsh, he's also gonna get a check from us for $500 this week. And I hear he's kind of looking forward to that. Paul's kind of looking forward to getting that check because he's going to make a trip down to Jacksonville here at the end of the month, and I guess he could use a little extra traveling expense money, so that'll come in handy for him. And yeah, I hope we can still be getting some more donations there, and then get some more subscriptions. That's what we really want to do on here. We want to get off of this donation kind of seminar every week and just give you updates on how much we make on the subscriptions from the Stone Roadie show. If we could get our subscriptions up to about 10,000 subscribers here on the Stone Roadie show, I think we could pretty much send our 5 recipients that we want to send money every so often. Now, Leslie, we're still having a little problem with her, and also I don't think we even mentioned Gene Odom. We're gonna send $500 here this week, and Gene was kind of a reluctant about taking any money from us because I don't know what's been going on with Gene over the last 50 years, but from what I understand, he got himself involved in doing some concerts or whatever, where people were putting on concerts and they asked Gene to become involved in it, and then it didn't work out like it was supposed to, and it kind of got shoved into like Gene was behind it or whatever. I don't know. And then this Rockin' for a Reason thing, Gene was kind of involved in it, and he got some bad publicity on that when he started doing it, and that's why my son Chad took it over. From what I understand, Gene didn't think it was good for him to be involved in it, so we think that's going to be turn out to be a pretty good thing. And we were talking before about some people were asking about people wanting to know if they could bring their kids to that, and if they were going to have to pay for admission for their kids. And think like both of Griff and I said, hey, it's only a 350 seat venue, and any people in there that didn't pay is going to be money out of the pockets of the forgotten survivors who were supposed to be taken care of here. And so we'd like to say we could take care of not get your children involved in this, but I don't think it's going to be a good idea for us at this time, because the place only holds 350 people, so we're sorry about that. So but anyway, yeah, I'm sorry I interrupted, but I forgot to leave Gene Odom out of this. And Gene, what Gene needs help as much as anybody. Gene's a tough son of a gun, man. He's, just the fact that he was blinded in one eye is pretty devastating. Yeah. I got glaucoma in one eye, and I have a pretty bad. I don't have good vision out of one eye, my left eye anymore, and it sucks. And I'd hate to be totally blind in that eye. It'd be pretty disabilitating. But Gene, it doesn't seem to bother him, man. He traveled. He's just getting back from doing a Jacksonville tour. He does those Jacksonville tours and tries to make a little extra money. And heck, he just had some kind of back surgery here not long ago, and then a couple weeks later he's out doing floors, and he's just he's a tough son of a gun. And I really support Gene, and like to help him out any way we could. Man, he's 3 years older than me, and he's out there. Heck, I've been retired for 15 years, and Gene's still out there busting his butt every day. So yeah, I'd like to see Gene get taken care of. I know he's out there, trying to get his life together, and he's been this whole thing's been pretty devastating to him, and so he's finally Griff finally talked him into explained to him what this is all about, and he's finally he said he'd accept some money, and we're still working on Leslie. I think if this Forgotten Survivors things turns out that we can, give everybody a couple thousand each, I think that'd be really great. I hope we can do that. So that's enough jibber jabber out of me, Griff. What else we got going on?
Back to the thing with the kids getting into the rocking for a reason. There were a couple people that emailed me and asked me could they bring their kids, and I checked with Chad, and so I think moving forward, if I've already talked to you, of course, and told you could bring your kids, then I've already got permission for you. So if you come there and you see some people with kids, they kind of got grandfathered in there in the beginning. So they're kind of working things out like that as we go. And we found out that we can't really have too many people in there taking up head count. So that's where we're at with that. But as far as donations, I noticed on Craig on a comment on Kathy Godsey's Saturday night special, there was a guy wanting to send something to you here. I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. It's a guy named Terry Lunsford, and he says, "Hey, Craig, I've got about 45 copies of a promotional endangered species that I want to donate to the Forgotten Survivors organization that features Ed, Gary, Billy, Leon, and Mike Estes. They recorded it on Capricorn Records with Ronnie. Never cared for the Capricorn Records because of Alan and Phil Walden. It's the reason Al Cooper got the MCA gig, plus the $9,000 that Cooper sent Ronnie to replace the stolen equipment. I would donate them to the cause, and as we now know, it was Mike's first album he and Ed penned, Good Luck, Bad Luck, and indeed Skynyrd was endangered. These items are two-sided and cannot be bought as they were given to hang out all around Nashville. And Craig, he says, they're yours now. So, Terry Lunsford, Craig, I mentioned this to him, and he said he would accept them. And, of course, you got his P.O. box up there. You think it'd be okay to mail it to that address, Craig?
Yeah. My post office box isn't big enough for those, but they're good friends up. They'll just hold them on the side for me, and we'll just that many. Yeah, we'll just put them up for auction or whatever, and then we'll just donate that money to the Forgotten Survivors Fund. So whatever money we get out of those, we'll just add it to the Forgotten Survivors Fund. So anything we can get toward that, we appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, appreciate that, Terry Lunsford. Just we got the right zip code up there now, so you don't have to worry about that. Yeah, we can go over a few more of these comments while we're I don't think Kathy would mind. It's on Kathy's Saturday night special.
Yeah, she'll be happy. Kathy's gonna be back on this Saturday night with Beulah, who Beulah was when Kathy was 20, I think 19 or 20 or 18, 19 or 20, she went down there to Alan's house, and that's when she got together with Gene, and Gene took her over in there, and a lady named Beulah was there, who's was good friends of Alan's, and so Kathy got a hold of Beulah, and Beulah said she'd come on and do a podcast. So that's going to be this coming Saturday on the Saturday night special on the Stone Roadie show with Kathy Godsey. Yeah,
we're glad we got Kathy back. She was out on a little bit of a vacation there, so we're happy to have her back. Everybody's been asking
a vacation
about her.
Working, yeah.
Yeah, a working vacation. So thanks for coming back, Kathy. And I'm going to read a few comments off of Kathy's podcast that with Craig was podcast 81. So we, of course, Terry Lunsford, thank you for that donation. We got one here. Hi, Craig and Kathy. Just wanted to let you know that it's nice to help you out and your fellow crash survivors. That's a beautiful thing. God bless you for that. Miss Godsey is an excellent co-host. Yes, we agree, and we're very lucky to have Kathy. It's good to see another Stone Roadie show, and this time with the lovely Miss Kathy. Craig, I'll help you out on getting your memories recorded, but I do things the old way. It would be like the movie Interview with Vampire, except this would be Interview with the Stoned Roadie, number one Stoned Roadie. I'd have to say with you soon. We're in the, and I don't see the rest of it. So, hi, Craig. I think you should get an on hold of Harmless Dave, the Real Music Observer. What is that, Craig?
Don't have any idea.
He might want to interview you. He also is a big Journey fan. Okay. Well, hey, send me an email for who that is. Go to the supportsurvivors.net, and anybody's got anything they want to send me to ask Craig, you can send that to supportsurvivors.net on the contact page.
I'm supposed to be going on a podcast in Glasgow, Scotland. They do a podcast over there for the Apollo Theater in Glasgow, and a guy's been contacted me, and they have one on Friday nights over there. It starts at 9 p.m. in Glasgow, Scotland, which is, I believe, is 5 p.m. here in the United States. But yeah, when I get to do that, I'll try to help anybody try to find that, even if you can find it. Yeah, it's something to do with the Apollo in Glasgow, Scotland. They do a podcast there, and they want me to get.
Yeah, there's a guy, and he's an upcoming guy. He's got the podcast called The Whip. I don't have his name right here. Cool guy. He's mentioned us several times. So yeah, we want to shout out to The Whip. We might get that guy on here, and he's a great guy to have on a podcast. So hey, I'll get in touch with you, and we'll see about getting you on here. And he's a pretty informative guy on a lot of the current events. So maybe we'll go on his podcast, or he'll come on ours. So you guys go check out The Whip. I'm hoping you can find it from that. Guy asked Craig, get Cameron Crowe. Get Cameron Crowe to come on the podcast. I don't think you got his phone number. You could just call him up, do you, Craig?
I think Kathy Godsey's tried to contact him, and I think she has tried to contact him.
Yeah, so I mean, it would be nice. And then a lot of people keep mentioning, why aren't you talking about Artimus, or why don't you have Artimus on the podcast? Well, Artimus, I don't think he's like a computer guy, but we keep that idea open, and we won't say he won't come on here, but he hasn't really made any efforts to want to do that. So
Artimus has been invited. He just hasn't warmed up to the idea yet.
Yeah,
maybe one of these days we will. I think Chad talks to Chris, his son Chris, every now and then, and Chris said he would come on, But
yeah,
we haven't got Artimus to warm up to the idea yet.
Yeah, I think with Artimus is, you got to remember, these guys have been involved with Lynyrd Skynyrd for so long, and then there's people that would ask really crazy questions, but I don't think Artimus realizes we wouldn't hammer him on.
I don't want to push it. I'd like to have Artimus on, but I don't want to push it. There's a lot of people I'd like to, ask. I have a lot of rock stars that are friends.
Yeah.
That, I could ask to be on the Stone Roadie show. I just don't wish to, if they want to come on, they know I do. They know that I do this show, and if they want to come on, I figure they'll ask me if they can be on,
That's like Doug Gray, Craig's good friends with Doug Gray, Marshall Tucker, and I've said, hey, Craig, ask Doug Gray, and he's like, no, I'm not going to bug Doug. So, hey, if you're watching Doug Gray, if you feel like coming on here, man, for about 10 minutes, I think everybody would love it,
Yeah, Freddie Salem from the Outlaws, or Billy Crane from the Outlaws, or any Henry Paul from the Outlaws.
Yeah, I think if we started getting more popular, that those guys
Yeah.
might want to come on here. But you guys got to hit that subscribe so we can be more popular to get your music stars on here.
But,
and there's another guy. He says, "Hello, I was at the Charlie Daniels volunteer jam. Of course, you never knew he was going to play. It was on January 13th, 1979, when the remaining members of Skynyrd came out to play. Charlie had talked them into playing there to get back on their feet. It blew my mind that they were there. I had to change my underpants." Is that how it happened, Craig?
Yeah. Lee, Gary and Alan were the only two, and Artimus. I think maybe Artimus played too. But Leon was there, but he wasn't able to play. His arm was still not functional.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to play, but he went to that sports guy that from the Miami Dolphins, and it gave him lateral rotation of his arm back. But Leon could still only play like this. He didn't have full range of his arm. That's why you see Leon playing his bass guitar is basically straight up in the air. He could only move like this.
Yeah, and on his tombstone, his son really did a real nice tombstone for him. And if you've ever been to the graveyard there, he's got his bass upright like that. It's a photo of him. Really, really nice headstone there. And so we got a Ronnie 5129. Hello, Craig and Kathy, the queen of questions. Glad to see you back. Craig, if Ronnie was born in South Dakota, was the woman who bared a child that Lacey was with, was it Marion Van Zant? Is Marion Virginia Hicks Van Zant Ronnie's mother?
Yeah, you know what? I said that I didn't know where the Van Zants were from.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the next day, Chad immediately called me and said, "Yeah, they're all from Fernandina. Yeah, and sister Marion and it was from Fernandina, and that whole clan was from Fernandina. Yeah."
Yeah, Marion Van Zant, sister Van Zant, is Ronnie's mother, and people are like, "Whose sister? Or what is that? Ronnie's sister?" No, that's I guess
they called
her sister.
Everybody called her sister. Yeah,
yeah. So that's why it's confusing. But yeah. So I hope that's cleared up. And then Susan McMaster. Ron Eckerman's book was a good read. I just finished Larry Steele's book, and that one had some good Lynyrd Skynyrd stories in it. I've got some books here I was going to show you guys. This is
before you do that. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this before, and I said one of the funniest stories that was in Ron's book was the one where Ronnie come up to Ron Eckerman's room in the morning and was telling Ron Eckerman what a rough night he had. He said, and Ron Eckerman said, "What's wrong, Ron?" He says, "Man, I was in my room last night and it got stuffy." And he said, "I went out on the fire escape, to get some air." And he said, "I went out there in my underwear, barefooted, and the damn the fire escape door closed on me and locked. And he was on the 14th floor outside. It was freezing cold. And he's standing on one of them metal grates with the sharp things on them, so you don't slip and fall for the traction. And Ronnie's out there in his underwear, his shorts, barefooted with no shirt on, and he's have to walk 14 floors down the fire escape to get down to the thing. And Ron Eckerman said he started to laugh, and Ronnie said, "You think that's funny?" And
that's in this book.
Yeah. Said he went down and went into the front desk in his shorts, barefooted, and no ID, and they had to take him up to his room and get the ID and let him in his room. Yeah, that was a pretty good story.
Yeah, a lot more great stories.
Ron's book's real
Yeah.
good book.
Yeah, in that book right there. And then there's another one here too. This guy right here, we all know because we've had him on the podcast. And that's Paul Abraham, Gospel According to Abraham. If you guys, I think you can probably go on the internet and get that book. But if you want that book from Ron Eckerman and you want to get it signed, send me a message to supportsurvivors.net, and I'll give you the information how you can get Ron Eckerman's book. And I'm thinking he'll sign it for you and send it out to you. So yeah, we like to help out Ron by, you guys get that book. Send me an email. Also,
yeah, Paul's a good book. Gives some insight on some on some Skynyrd stuff. On Billy and Gary. Yeah,
and then you got Gene's book. This is one of Gene's books.
That's the
and
second
I think you can get this off of Amazon. Yeah, this was his first one, and this book I came about had a friend of mine gave this to me, and I think I read the person's name on here that Gene signed it to, and then somebody in podcast land said that's my father. So that was kind of crazy.
Most of the pictures in that book are mine because Gene didn't have any pictures, and he asked me if I had any pictures he could put in his book. So I gave him my whole collection of pictures, and he stuck it.
Yeah, there's lots of pictures in here.
He's got my picture in there, standing in there next to a blender, and he says, I don't know what Craig's doing here in the kitchen. It looks like he might be making a drink because he says, I know Craig can't boil water.
Yeah, I remember that. There's a picture of the Boat Bad Company right there.
Yeah.
And you didn't take that picture, did you, Craig?
I did take that picture, yeah.
Did you take that picture?
I think there's a picture in there where Ronnie's on the telephone. I took that picture.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a picture of Alan with a hard hat on. I took that one. And yeah, there's most of those pictures in there, the ones I took.
Yeah, there's a lot of great pictures in that book, too. Yeah, so yeah, you guys, there's plenty of Skynyrd books out there to read, and that's just a few. Larry Steele's book, that's a good book too, right, Craig?
Yeah, and my
Steele's
name. I like all those books. All those books have my name in them. That's kind of how people got the idea that I was somehow famous because they were on Facebook and they started reading those books, and they go, well, that Craig Reed, his name's all in all these books. Why didn't Craig Reed write a book?
There was one book that you see Ed King in a picture, and he's holding the book up, and he's got a thumbs down. What book is that?
Whiskey Bottles and Brand New Cars. I think they.
Yeah, that book. I don't know. I don't know why. If anybody out there knows why Ed didn't like that, send me a message. We'll talk about it on here. On the podcast. Yeah, if you guys have any questions you want to send me exclusively to the podcast, go to supportsurvivors.net and hit that contact page, and it shoots an email to me and just ask me your question, and I'll try to get it to the Stoned Roadie. Anything else you got, Craig?
No, I think we can. I'm about ready to move on to On the Road with Griff Martin. If you are, what did you say? Your little episode's about 47 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, so it's just going to put us well over an hour. So you guys go ahead and get your popcorn ready, and so you can watch Bobby Sanders. Bobby Sanders is a cool guy, and he plays a couple songs for us on the podcast here and in the on the road. So yeah, don't miss it. Stay tuned.
Bobby's going to be at the forgotten at the
Rockin' for a Reason.
I keep forgetting that the name of that. Rockin' for a Reason. Yeah, Bobby's still going to be there, and then I think Chad wants to have some of the other participants of Rockin' for a Reason on the Stone Roadie show here in the next coming month. So we'll probably
before the event happens, Chad mentioned trying to bring some of the people on, some of the performers, and that's why we got Bobby Sanders on, and we're going to take a look at getting somebody else on here next week that's going to be at the show, so we can ask some questions and bring you some information about their act and things like that. So yeah, we'll have that on the next podcast. Not the Saturday night special, but
after all this stuff in July going on, we're going to try to get back to all the skin information y'all want to know here on the Stone Roadie show. You know, we realize we've kind of gotten off track here a little bit, but you know,
got some more on the road planned up, you know, for some stuff. And then of course, once we get that Rockin' for a Reason out of the way, then the next event that we have is going to be that celebration at the Monument on the 20th, where Craig's got the convoy coming down.
Whenever we get some negative, not correct information about what we're doing on here, we got to come on and give a revised version of what's really going on. You know, we don't want any rumors going on around here out there that aren't true. You know, like the money that's being raised here on this effort isn't going where we say it's going. Well, we've already sent out, here this week we've sent out $2,000 so far. So whoever you are out there that said that this is a bunch of bullshit and we weren't going to send out any money, I sure wish we'd put out the thing that, you know, anything we put up that, since you got a big mouth, that you'd match our donations. But we didn't think about it. But
anybody want to match our donations, that would be cool.
Anybody wants to diss us about any money that we donate and give away, you know, we expect you to start matching our donations if you're going to run your mouth, you know. So.
Yeah, go ask Paul Welch and Mark Frank and Mark Howard and Gene, and ask them if they got any money, and then they'll tell you the truth. So, you know, I mean, I don't understand why people are like that.
We've been straight up about all the money we've received and what we've done on YouTube, and it's all been. It's all been pretty much accounted for. So, you know, there's, except for the 100 that Anonymous Mary gave me and Griff, it's all gone to the to the forgotten survivors, you know. But
and just, you know, stand by, because you never know what Craig and I are going to do next, or what Craig's going to do. You know, that whole funeral pamphlet thing, that kind of. That kind of was like a bunch of people attacking Craig over that. But in the end, it all worked out just nice, because now Mark Howard's got some bills paid from it. And I think Gary's probably smiling down on that one. So he's probably saying, Craig, you got him, man. You got him.
All righty then. Well, looky here. This has been podcast 83 of the Stone Roadie Show, and I guess until next time, we'll see you later, alligator, after wild crocodile, and somewhere over the rainbow, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby, where free birds fly.
That's on Craig's phone message.
And the only reason I came up with that one, because I can't remember the other one I closed with.
Happy trails.
Happy trails.
Yeah, we'll put that on there.
Until we meet again. Happy trails to you. And may the good Lord take a liking to you. And until next time, this is on podcast 83 on the Stoned Roadie Show. And
we'll see you the next time.
Here we come with On the Road with Griff Martin and Bobby Sanders.
Later.
Oh, here we go. Oh, there it is. More. Stop recording. Pause recording.
Okay, On the Road with Griff Martin. And I'm over here in Apopka, Florida, which isn't too far from my house. So this is an On the Road with Griff Martin. But I got lucky because I'm still in Florida and I'm only a couple hours away from my house. And I'm out here at Bobby Sanders' house. Now, Bobby Sanders is going to play at the Rockin' for a Reason in Jacksonville on the 29th. And I wanted to come out here because he's an interesting guy. And he's got a lot of cool stories. And this is his house right here. And he invited me over. And we got a special guest in there that we're going to get to see that everybody knows. So let's go in here. Bobby Sanders is in here, and he's got kind of like a memorabilia room in here. And this is his Chevy truck. Pretty cool Chevy truck. And he also has an SS Camaro over there. It's pretty nice. Yeah, let's go in this memorabilia room and let's go say hi to Bobby Sanders. And there's another character in here that we want to say hi to. So let's go in here. All right, here we have Bobby Sanders right there.
Hello.
How you doing, Bobby?
All right, Griff. How are you, brother?
And we all know this guy right here. This is Gene Odom. Gene, we appreciate you coming. This just wouldn't be the same without Gene Odom here, you know. And Gene just lives a couple hours. Gene and I both had to drive a couple hours, which isn't too bad. Gene's used to going to Jacksonville, which is 3 hours. So this is a short little trip for him. But so this is your memorabilia room here, huh, Bobby?
Yes, sir. I can show you some stuff real quick.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
I'll show you right up here. When I was in the Army, there was a guy in my platoon at Fort Benning. This is in 1972. And about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, he would come in crowing like a rooster, and he'd drink Red Rooster 21 kicking chicken. So I come home with all my best friends, and they got the biggest kick out of that, and I brought home some of that wine, and we acted like he did. And this is all my Lynyrd Skynyrd wall here. That poster right there, Ronnie Van Zant gave me that poster and signed it to Lockhart, Florida, and signed his name under it.
Which is kind of, I'm gonna have to get over there to get a little.
The ink is just about dried out.
Yeah, you can't really see it from here, but it's there.
And that was my ticket to Lakeland in 19.
I was there when Ronnie signed it, so I can.
Yeah, and we got proof of it because right there is the picture of Bobby and Ronnie signing it.
And there's Gene's briefcase and wristwatch. When he saw this picture, first thing he said, "That's the last time I seen my wristwatch and my briefcase," and that was way back when we got this picture.
So that poster,
I didn't know it for 17 years that the photographer for Lynyrd Skynyrd had the picture, and 17 years later we got to see it. This right here is my live album. It was the very first live album. It come from WRJ. My friend Bill McGathy, he was like a guru of rock and roll, and when Lynyrd Skynyrd album came out, I had rode a motorcycle backwards and passed him, and he played Lynyrd Skynyrd the next day for me at 12 o'clock on WRJ. Then he called me up, and that's how I met Ronnie Van Zant, and Ronnie signed my album there too. My album and that.
So that all happened the same day when this?
Absolutely.
So
all three of them is the same day, and this is 2 days later. We were front and center at Lynyrd Skynyrd. Look at this picture over here with a rebel flag. You see Ronnie right there, he said rebel flag. You can't have a flagpole in the Lakeland Civic Center. Mike Carter, a boy we growed up with from Lockhart, had a crutch. He had broke his leg, and we put that rebel flag on the crutch right in front of Ronnie. That's us holding it right there. We were front and center.
Wow, that's cool. And now, Gene, now you say you're 99.9% pretty sure that that's the last Ronnie Van Zant signature that there ever was. Isn't that right?
Quite possibly, yeah. And this picture where he shows you this rebel flag right here, Bobby had that rebel flag up, and the guy behind him was pulling the flag down because it was blocking his view. And Ronnie knew it was a fight fixing start, and Ronnie Van Zant pointed at me and went, "It's fixing to be some shit right here." You know, so I think I might have came down and came around, but I later found out that was Bobby Sanders that was holding the flag up, and he was blocking the people behind him's view, and that other guy was pulling this flag down.
So, Bobby, do you remember? Did you meet Gene whenever Ronnie signed that? Do you remember Gene?
I met him briefly, but
Yeah.
I met him. I went to Ronnie Van Zant's mother and father's house, and was there at 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was like in a fairy tale. It was the fog was out, and when I got up there to the house, they were expecting me, and his dad says, "Come in the house, young man." And I went in there, and Ronnie's mother and him were sitting on the screened-in porch, and they had a big stockade fence around their property. And it was unbelievable. His dad was a truck driver, and he explained all the story to me that he drove a truck all them boys' life, and he would park the truck there, and they would haul fruit to Miami. And back then the refrigerators didn't work good, so he would sing to Ronnie, Johnny, and Donnie, and Johnny and Donnie were sleeping in the back of the cab, and Ronnie was sitting right next to him, and they were coming home on a Saturday morning. I remember this story. He told it to me yesterday. And he would sing to stay awake. Merle Haggard, Hank Williams was their favorite. We listened to country music, and he told me something funny that he said, Ronnie looked him in the eye and says, "Daddy, I'm going to sing like you, and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be a singer." And he said Ronnie was real young, and he said, "Okay, son." So they got home, and they got up Saturday morning in Jacksonville, Florida, and went to a store where you cash in stuff. What do you call them? The stores where
Pawn shop?
Pawn shop.
Right.
Went to a pawn shop and bought him a PA system. It had 2 speakers and a microphone.
I'll be damned.
That's when Lacey did, you know, and I just thought that was a special story. And they took me all through the house and showed me they had a cutout of the United States that Lynyrd Skynyrd had made for them, Ronnie, Gary, and Alan, made for Lacey, and it said, "To Lacey, thanks for," they traveled all them states in that United States, and they had a semi that Lacey hauled them in, and they had a refrigerator, and their sleeping part was up by the refrigerator, and their equipment was in the back, and Lacey was their driver and drove them all around the United States.
So how old do you think Ronnie was about that time?
Well, I think they started doing that about 1970, wasn't it, Gene? And I would say when they started really traveling, because a lot of people in Florida.
Yeah, because Lacey got injured, didn't he?
He got injured in 1965. Around 69, Larry Johnson was still with him then. 60, gosh, I would say anywhere from 66, 67, 68.
But he could still drive even though he was injured. He just couldn't work on his truck anymore, right?
Yeah. He didn't truck drive anymore. He would drive. He would drive him sometimes to gigs. I'd drive him periodically myself, you know. And Lacey would drive him a lot of times. Lacey Van Zant was the best driver on the planet. The most polite driver. Did everything by the book. And he would drive everywhere. He would drive. You didn't have to fill in. I'll drive something now. Lacey Van Zant when he drove. You know,
yeah, back then you could drive 14 hours. They didn't have a log book. Yeah.
Most of the time they drove themselves, but Lacey drove them sometimes.
So what else you got here, Bob?
Ken, I would love to show you this was our favorite band, which, you know the story, they were Lynyrd Skynyrd's best friends. Right here was the Outlaws, and when they come out, they were the smash of the smash. So you couldn't be no better.
Did they all sign it?
They all signed it on the back.
Cool.
All of them signed it, and all the originals signed. Monty Yoho, David Dix, but but on the other side was, and this right here is my Danny Joe Brown picture. Gene Odom and Danny were really good friends, and Danny Joe Brown would come to town, and he knew me, and he loved my Camaro. And one night at Titusville, I did a burnout. He got off stage at halftime, and we go out back, and Jessica, we're out there. He said, crank it up. He got in it, and I backed up, and I did a big old burnout. He got out with his white shoes, went back on stage, and sang, and we were front and center. Danny Joe Brown was one of my favorite singers of all time. This was the first album ever. Lynyrd Skynyrd album was the first one ever. This one was the first one ever, because my best friend Joe Faulkner, we were in the Army, we heard the debut on WRJ. We went to the music store at the Altamont Mall, and they opened up the thing. They'd never heard of Molly Hatchet. Danny Joe Brown signed it to Lockhart, Florida, Redneck Power. They did an article on him in Freebird magazine. He was a cover story. The whole magazine was about Danny Joe Brown. Right here, Gene Odom invited me to go to Danny Joe Brown's funeral down in South Florida, and it was the only family was there, and it was very. Danny Joe Brown was a 100% true Christian at the end of his life, and the testimony you heard, that it was just heart, you know. And before he died, we did a fundraiser for him. He'd been in a coma for 2 months. Nobody had made no contact with Danny Joe Brown, and some of his band players come to Ronnie Maggard, and we had a benefit right here for Danny Joe Brown. But let me tell you the hoot of it all. Look down there, get that at the. I want to show you this, Ed.
Who signed this right here, Bobby?
Griff West was in the band.
Okay.
He played bass. All that's my Hank Williams stuff. I played with all the original Drifting Cowboy that was left at Montgomery 5 years in a row. My family went with me. That was the church that Hank growed up in and sang at. These are out of my CDs, but them 3 pictures over there from Lum York, who I got to tell y'all about Lum York. He's in the Louisiana Music Hall of Fame. He was Hank Williams' bass player. He was Lefty Frizzell's bass player. He toured with the Everly Brothers, and he was a card. He was from Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was born in Alabama and got married to a Louisiana girl. And when he was about 20-something, after Hank Williams, and then they moved with his wife, is born and raised in Baton Rouge. But I want to tell you about Lum. Lum got me on them shows. He loved me, and I loved him. I got him with Hank Williams Jr. That's Lum York right there. Let me tell you, look at this original Drifting Cowboy band. Look at Lum York right there with Hank Williams. That Slim Thomas. Well, I played at the Louisiana, got to go to the Louisiana Hayride. And
You lived under by your tire.
I'm a member of the Hank Williams Museum, chartered, but this is just my cabin. This is my stereo system. I just proud that's my box that Robert and Liz made me, and that's my honky tonk sign. And I have an air conditioning campfire.
Yeah. Now, how was it? Go ahead and tell the story about how you and Gene met.
That's okay.
Bobby?
Huh?
Tell a story about how you and Gene met.
Well, when I went to Ronnie Van Zant's mother and father's house that morning, and I was there probably an hour and a half, in actuality, at their house. We sat on the front porch a long time, and he told me all the history and really nice stories, and we left there, and this boy that I was with, his mother was the mayor of Orange Park, And he goes, man, he goes, I know one of the Lynyrd Skynyrd guys, and he said, we'll go by and see if he's home. So we go to Gene's house, and I had my guitar, and I played him. My friend Dennis Robbins had a song called The Chapel of the Friendly Bells, and the song touched Gene, and Gene says, you know, that's the prettiest song. I said, my friend wrote it and stuff, and after that with Gene, it was so many great things came in my life. What you got, Gene? Catfish?
Get that guitar and play the song.
Oh, okay.
I gave him.
Oh yeah, I want to tell him. I want to tell.
Yeah,
I want to tell you. This is all goes in with my story of when I met Gene Odom, and Gene instantly was we were like family. And Gene had the prettiest girl from Jacksonville, Florida. She loved Gene Odom. And her name was Jane, and she was a nurse and lived in this beautiful mansion and loved Gene. And I played the first Ronnie Van Zant Memorial Concert. I got to sing 3 songs. It was a festival they had, and it was just a very, very great time. And that night, that afternoon, Charlie Daniels played and Lynyrd Skynyrd played. And that was the show, was them guys, you know.
So you opened up for Charlie Daniels?
I got to sing 3 songs on the stage.
Wow.
In the PA. And, you know, it was a big honor. And then I got invited to go to Freebird, the movie, and it was the most wonderfulest thing. My friend Dennis Robbins, when Teresa found out that I knew Dennis Robbins, Dennis said, tell Teresa hello. And she said, Dennis Robbins, she said, they were family with Steve Gaines. They all played together. Dennis was in the Rockets. So she said, you think you could get Dennis on the show? And I said, well, we'll find out. So we called Dennis, and Dennis says, well, yeah. He says, you know, he said, I'd be proud to come down there. Well, he came down there, and he played Steve Gaines' black Les Paul guitar. We had a party up in our room, and Dennis at that point was on top of the country charts. He's one of the most successful singer-songwriters ever, but he wrote Two of a Kind, Working on a Full House, and The Church on the Cumberland Road, Do You Love Me, Just Say Yes, and albums that was Grammy worthy, all of his albums, you know. Anyway, we got to do the Freebird, the movie, but with Gene Odom, when I played at the Ronnie Van Zant Memorial Concert, Lacey was with us, and all the families was there, and we had a room there, right there at the Naval Air Station, and we stayed at Jane's with Gene and Jane. And when I got ready to go, she went to the closet and got it out, and she told me, she said, this was my husband, and they were married like 25 years.
So we're talking about this guitar right here.
This guitar was his when he was young.
So this was Gene's girlfriend's.
Let me tell you about Jane.
Okay.
Let me tell you about Jane.
Let me tell you about Jane.
Hold on.
Gene, wait a minute, Gene wasn't the only person she loved. You know what I mean?
No.
So that's what it was.
So that's why she ain't around.
Exactly. Gene Odom was smarter than she was.
I sang at her daddy's funeral. Her daddy was over to A&P grocery store in Jacksonville, and she knew, she went to the prom with Gary Rossington when she was young. She knew Ronnie's sister, Joanne, and anyway, when I got ready to go, she said, Bobby, she said he would, because her husband loved country music, Bobby, I want you to have this guitar to play for life. And she said, my husband would love for you to play it, because that's what he wanted to do, was play Hank Williams, and I've played it ever since, and I love it, and I attribute it all to Gene Odom. That's been such a a great friend of my friends and my family, and include me on these shows. I ain't worthy. I heard them boys play Coming Home. I was going to play that on the show.
You talking about Brandon Miller and Zach?
Zach, and I heard them play that, and I was just, that was perfect. Y'all do it so much better than me. I couldn't do it in D. I did it in C. That is so high.
Yeah.
Been so long since I've been gone, another day. And he sang it on the key that Ronnie did. Now, I gave you an A+, by the way. And I can't wait to hear you at this show.
Right. Now, what kind of, that's a Gibson, what model is it?
1959 Gibson, and it's
Did you wear the front of that out, or was it already worn out?
Yeah,
you've been doing it. I know Bobby Sanders does some playing now.
Bobby's done that. Bobby played
No,
that.
it had been played. The guy had it since he was young, but yes. Oh, and listen now. Listen to this. So the Nightcrawlers, they're from Florida, right? In 1965, they have the #1 hit, "Little Black Egg." When I met Ronnie Van Zant, the question I asked him, "Did you know the Little Black Egg?" And he said, "Man, that was my favorite song."
Oh yeah.
And so they did a movie about the Nightcrawlers. They were all so successful. It's the greatest. There's a movie about it called Cracked Egg. They all came out here. They came in here, and I got his card right there. He was the singer was the top judge of Volusia County. He sentenced Eileen Worth to death. But they all signed my guitar. The Nightcrawlers signed it back then, and I think about most of them have passed away now. You know,
Well, play, church. Play. Listen to this.
Let's see. Well, I've been getting some new songs, and they're new for me. But I want to do this one for you, Gene. I ain't showed you this one yet. Back when life was fun, I recall the words my papa said to be a man, you gotta try and understand. There's some things that you must know. If you want to go far, gotta set a goal. Just hang on. Just hang on. If you do this, my son, you're gonna make it someday. Just hang on, son. Just hang on. It wasn't long when I left Daddy's home, all alone with no place to be. With a great surprise, he looked me straight in the eyes and said, "So start, and you will see. If you want to go far, set a goal. Just hang on, son. It's the only way. Just reach for the sky."
Awesome. That's just a sample of some Bobby Sanders, because he's going to be at the Rockin' for a Reason on the 29th, and you got like a bunch of songs. I know, I've heard them.
I'm honored to get to do that and be with our friends, and it's an honor to get to know some of Ronnie Van Zant's best friends that they growed up with. And I want to tell you this song, this couple. I played Jane's daddy's funeral, and I played Jane's daddy's funeral, and I played Carl
And Lynyrd Skynyrd's.
And Lynyrd Skynyrd. I played Lynyrd Skynyrd's funeral. I did.
Yeah.
these people that these characters, I don't want it to ever get away from history, but I played this boy's wedding at Rayford, and the father was raised with Ronnie Van Zant and Gene Odom, and he was a little bit older than them, and he run the Florida Power, the nuclear plant in Jacksonville. The coolest guy, was a professional bass, you know, and so Gene told him about me. He said, man, get him to play, you know, and he goes, well, man, he'll be perfect for it. We want country music, and they had all these pretty young people there. This is a long time ago, and so we get there, and the son's name was Scott. What was his dad's name? Tommy
Vickery.
Huh? Tommy Vickery. What a legend. And Tommy Vickery was just the countryest guy, and he told me the story. He said they come off the road, said they were in Idaho, and Ronnie called him up and said, man, I'm coming home. Said, I've been touring, and he says, you know, I want to go fishing. And he says, well, I'll tell you what. He says, you get ready. And so they got home late that night, and they left early that morning, and they went to Orange Park. And this is the best story you ever heard. They caught fish.
Orange Lake.
Thank you, Orange Lake. And now listen to this badass story. This is way back in 1972, 73, only when Lynyrd Skynyrd, nobody ever heard of Lynyrd Skynyrd. Sweet Home Alabama, bam, hit. And so they fished this morning, and which is way down by Ocala somewhere, Gainesville somewhere, and they stop at at a bar, restaurant, and all these kids are in there.
McDonald's.
Huh?
McDonald's.
Well, no, they was in a place with a jukebox, and it was they ate, and somebody put in Sweet Home Alabama on the jukebox. Now listen to this. This man told me this man was just the countryest guy and didn't have any, and he said Sweet Home Alabama came on, and the people in there were singing it, and not one person knew who Ronnie Van Zant was. You know, it was Lynyrd Skynyrd. His name was Ronnie Van.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't. Nobody knew who Ronnie Van Zant was.
He was sitting there, right?
Huh?
He was sitting there.
Him and Tom were sitting there eating
Wow.
their lunch after fishing before they came home, and I just love that story. Don't you?
Yeah.
Nobody knew who Lynyrd Skynyrd was.
Yeah, that's happened quite a bit, hadn't it, Gene? People say, "Where's Lynyrd at?"
Where's Lynyrd? I want to meet Lynyrd.
Well, I think everybody pretty much knows the story now, so it's pretty clear. But you got another one you gonna play,
Well, I'm
Bob?
learning another one. I've only got about 2 or 3 verses on it, but I'll play a little bit of it. But this was back in my Lynyrd Skynyrd days as a... Willie Jones was a man I met when I lived in Baltimore. I was a guard and he was doing time. In the 3 long years he stayed there, I got to know him well. Willie Jones, he was a friend of mine. He used to say, buddy, you know where I'm going when they let me out of here. Alabama could be heaven, the Lord was there. And he talked about the Southland and the Alabama nights. Willie Jones was a friend of mine. As far as I got.
Well, that's pretty.
I had a little bit further
Pretty good.
than that, but I just started that yesterday. And I don't read no words when I play on, so I memorize them. I don't even think I memorized that first one that I sing today just right, but I'll have them by, I got 3 more weeks to get ready for this show, and I've got a lot of, I'm gonna play country music. That's what Ronnie Van Zant and all these boys, a lot of them's coming up. Gene's friends that knew all of them growed up with them, they're coming, and Susie Skinner is planning on coming, and maybe her mama, who Coach Lynyrd Skynyrd and Gene Odom, buddy, they was a team now. They traveled and did stuff together, and we loved Lynyrd. Lynyrd lived out here for about a year in the motorhome with Rosemary. They just traveled, you know. When they sold their house, they had a place on the
So you were good friends with Lynyrd.
Through Gene.
Through Gene, yeah.
And Lynyrd was real close. Yeah, you better.
Gene's got a great story about how both Lynyrd Skynyrds tried to kill him. Lynyrd Skynyrd, the band.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got
out. And then Lynyrd Skynyrd, the man.
Oh yeah, right. Both of them tried to kill
Give us a short version of that, Gene.
Well, you know, the airplane crash.
Right. That's the first thing that tried to kill him.
Yeah, the band tried to kill me. They didn't do it. And Lynyrd was umpiring girls' fast-pitch softball. So he called me one day. He said, "Hey man," he said, "I'm coming to pick you up. I want you to come watch this girl. She can underhand that ball over 75 miles an hour." I went, "Wow." He said, and he was umpiring. So we were going out there. He had a little Mazda RX-7. So right there, Seaboard and 103rd. We were going to turn left. We were going to the ball field. And there was a school bus on the other side going to make a left turn. And we were making a left turn. So Lynyrd pulled out and let the school bus make the turn. And a lady ran the red light and broadsided us right in the back of on my side, at the back wheel. Spun the car around, you know. And I felt my neck snap. I knew my neck was broke. Lynyrd started raising down about the woman raising here, maybe was ready to fight. You know what I mean? So
You'd already broke your neck once.
2 times.
Both Lynyrd Skynyrd.
I took my phone, I called 911. There's been an accident here at Seaboard and 103rd, and I think my neck's broke. So rescue's on the way. So Lynyrd went away, and a police officer that was in the line of traffic on the other side, he saw the accident, and he came over, and he was speaking with a woman, and Lynyrd was raising hell with her. He got Lynyrd away from her. And so he came over and asked me something about where did I live, whatever, you know, and I said, I gave him my driver's license, whatever, and he left. So he got through his investigation. I'm waiting on rescue to come. And so Lynyrd comes over. He said, "Man, I gotta get to the ball field." I said, "Take me back to my car. I gotta go to the hospital."
He don't even think your neck's broken.
No, he don't. And the police officer left. So I went to the emergency room, and they said, "Sure enough, your neck's broke." And so I told Lynyrd, I said, they operated on it that night. They operated on it, and I told Lynyrd, I said, "I told him my neck broke." He said, "Well, you know," and then sort of I went to the right there at Cedar Hills, the substation. I went in there, a big old black sergeant, raising all kind of hell about it. I want to know who that police officer was that I didn't get rescue units. I went to the rescue fireman place first, and they just pulled them on the computer. They said, "Here's your phone call. Here's where you ordered the emergency 911. You ordered the rescue, and we sent it. We sent the rescue, and that police officer canceled it."
Oh, damn.
I want to know how in the hell. He said, "Well," I said, "Get his ass here." And he said, "I can't bring him here." I said, "Get him. I want to know why my neck's broke, and he canceled my damn rescue." So he said, "It's a training. We'll have to get a training error. We'll have to train." I left there before I got put in jail, and so Michael Bashford, that grew up with me and Bob Burns, attorney, he said, "I'll sue the hell out of him." I said, "Gene knowed him. You know, I'm broke. I should have sued the hell out of this county, the police department. I got rich. I let it slide, but my neck healed up."
So you were walking around with a broke neck, and
yeah,
and the ambulance never came, and Lynyrd didn't even know it.
No, Lynyrd didn't know I called. You know, he said, "I got to go to work." You know, he had to go to work, and I said, "I got to go to the emergency room." You know, and so Lynyrd Skynyrd and Lynyrd Skynyrd tried to kill me, and both of them didn't succeed. I'm still kicking, like Bobby Sanders up there, kicking chicken. I'm still kicking.
Yeah. Well, Bobby, I know that you got plenty of songs. What kind of music you gonna be playing? It's gonna be, is you gonna have some Lynyrd Skynyrd songs, and then
a few.
Yeah, and then you got some other, probably some stuff.
Old rock and roll songs.
Right.
I'm proud to be part of it, and I appreciate both of y'all including me on this.
Yeah, Bobby came. The way I met Bobby was Gene said whenever I threw that Polk Theater bash over there, and Gene said, "Man, you got to get Bobby Sanders over here to play." And I said, "Well, who's that?" And he said, "Well, man, that guy's one of the best flat top guitar players around." And he got up there and we showed the Craig Reed reels of Craig Reed's home movies, and Bobby was up there playing. And you might be able to see that on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube somewhere. So if anybody wants to go searching for the Pulp
like
Return of the Survivors, yeah.
I make mistakes learning them, and the longer you sing a song, the better you can do them. But I usually put them on. I go to stairwells and put them on time. I learn them, but I just love learning songs and getting to share.
Is this going to be on the podcast?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you got something else, Gene? You want?
Just one. I know all you folks on this camera thing can't make that fundraiser for the survivors. And number one, I'm not a survivor of that. I mean, I don't consider myself a survivor. I consider myself a victim of a tragedy that I should have prevented. So Gene Odom ain't gonna make a dime off of this fundraiser for the survivors. This is to show some respect and to show decency and respect to those survivors that's never been paid to them. And a couple of them didn't even work for Lynyrd Skynyrd. Mark Howard, Paul Welch, I think they worked for Clearlight, Shoko.
Right.
But they were on the plane and they were part of the Lynyrd Skynyrd entourage. And so I'm just going, this fundraiser is going to show some respect. If you can't make it, order a ticket and make it a donation to the survivors if you can't come. I'm sure that it'll be filmed somehow.
Right.
And you'll be able to see it. But I appreciate all y'all's support. Thanks.
Yeah, and there's actually like a company that's handling all the ticket sales and things like that. Gene didn't want any part of that because he didn't feel like dealing with that. And
I've always said that Gene Odom and Craig Reed ought to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right with them.
Yeah, they were part of that group,
I'm in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Let me get up. I'm in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with my buddy Ronnie Van Zant.
Yeah.
Right.
That picture is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right above that hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this hat is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this picture is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame right above that hat. So Gene Odom is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I've
can't sing a lick, but I'm up there with my fishing buddy.
Yeah, there's Gene right there. See?
It's in archives now.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, they put everything. They only put the signature of Ronnie Van Zant and Hank Williams Sr. It's in a little gold thing. Then look how many people they got.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then anybody, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ain't about music. It's about them making money.
Dennis gave me them.
The Chipmunks.
Went to see Artemis.
Oh, those drumsticks?
Yeah.
Are those are Artemis?
Oh, look at read the headlines of the Orlando Sentinel and look at the check that Lacey was going to ration off Ronnie's truck, which I'm glad he didn't get to, so Johnny got to get it.
Oh, wow. Lacey Van Zant check right there.
And Lacey sent me that check back, and I thought, man, isn't that funny for $5, a check for $5. And I put it in my Orlando Sentinel when the plane crashed.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, there's Gene's book, the blue book.
How long have you had that?
Oh, I treasure this stuff. I keep it in a sealed case.
Those are kind of hard to get, aren't they, Gene?
Those are impossible to get.
I've got one at home.
That might be the only one of its kind right there.
Judy gave me that. That was at the Ronnie Van Zant.
The movie premiere thing.
Was it? Yeah, might have been.
Yeah.
Was that at the Freebird, the movie? Might have been. Isn't that nice? And let me tell y'all something. I was there when Charlie Daniels came to Jacksonville, and you should see him. He knew Gene with Ronnie, and both times I've been with Gene, Charlie Daniels, every time it makes it a point when him and Gene sees each other, and it happened at the Freebird at the movie thing too, which I thought is just so freaking awesome. I don't know what this is. Ain't no telling.
It's
been put up, so I save all my stuff. Oh, this is one of my really good friends that that was as talented as anybody you've ever met and always will be, but he don't care about the music business. But that's Dennis Robbins, and I got to do some of them dates with the band, and that was a highlight of my life. It was awesome. Let's see here.
That's one of the original ones, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's that one of yours?
These
Dean?
are all through the years. Oh yeah. Look,
Yeah.
look, Ronnie's daddy, Lacey Van Zandt.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who signed that one there?
Ronnie Van Zant's got it on the front. Let's see. I don't even know what.
That was his autograph. He didn't sign that, of course. That was his.
There's Lacey's.
Oh, I see.
There's Lacey's envelope.
What year was that check, Bob?
Look at here. This is Rolling Stone magazine.
1995.
That's when the Ronnie Van Zant Memorial Concert was. And let me tell y'all something. This, it wasn't a rebel flag. It wasn't the rebel flag. It was this flag. And there was a fight over this flag. You were right about everything except it was this flag. We made this, and when Ronnie came up, we were front and center, and we held this flag up. Hold that side, Gene.
That was in
Upside
Lakeland?
down, brother.
That was in Lakeland?
Yeah.
Because I was there, and I remember
Okay.
something about that.
This was the one he was holding up. The people pulling
Yeah.
down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Look at here.
I knew it was a flag.
Look at here. Yeah. It was this one. Look at here. Hold that side out. Lockhart loved Lynyrd Skynyrd. That was
Okay.
when he came out. We had that thing wide open, and I think there was a fight over that, maybe so.
Yeah, it was.
But the rebel flag, there wasn't no fight over.
Okay, I had the wrong flag.
What were they fighting over? They couldn't see?
Yeah.
Oh, do you think? We're front and center with a freaking.
Right in front of the stage holding that up.
Hey,
Yeah.
you want to see a pretty shirt? Look at here. I met the real Lynyrd Skynyrd.
There you go.
And we knowed him.
That's cool as
We
hell.
loved him, yeah.
But the real Lynyrd Skynyrd, yeah.
So, and here's Freebird to the movie. Boy, that was a, oh my God. My friend Dennis Robbins got, and Gary Rossington made him turn Dennis down because Dennis was blowing him off the stage. Wasn't that a shame? Remember that?
So that's the
They played
brochure?
Statesboro Blues with all the band. They had Dennis front, the greatest guitar player, and
Gary didn't like
Gary didn't want no part of that.
That's right. Gary don't want nobody showing him up.
Here, look at here. Here's Calendar magazine from Orlando. Lynyrd Skynyrd when it all happened. Yep, I saved all that stuff. I got it out to share with y'all. I got it in Tupperware, a big old thing, and it's sealed. And,
That's cool, man.
uh-huh. Look at that.
That's a good shot.
Look at here. Look at here. Billy Hill, ready to roll. I was the president of the fan club. That's Dennis Robbins. I showed you. That was the name of the band, Billy Hill. They had got a hole in my pocket.
So how did Lynyrd come about coming out here with an RV staying at your place?
Yeah, they stayed out here for I guess 10 or 11 months, and they just traveled. That's all they did was travel and have fun. Yeah. That's when they sold their house. They had a place on the St. Johns River, you know.
Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this edition up of the On the Road with Griff Martin, and we appreciate Bobby Sanders and Gene. Gene come out here today and showing us all this stuff and those two songs that you played for us, and we'll listen to the end of it on the 29th.
I killed it. I killed it. Don't pay no attention to them songs.
Oh, they were good. They were
Thank
good.
you.
So, hey, thanks a lot, and
Thank you.
and so we'll see you guys next time.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep toking until then. Yeah, the Road Stony Show.